altitude froze.
Yeah,
And
that thing.
they were
Yeah.
getting erratic readings, and they ended up in a stall, and they literally just slammed into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
They did that for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh
just
God!
straight down, horrible. And this one's still
What a way to die!
What the hell did you say, David?
When is it okay to pick up that stuff? When is it okay to go?
Right.
I have a problem with that. I don't. So when I think about Titanic, I see both sides of the issue, but I also see the part about where it provides people. The rule at Woods Hole was you go to see the Titanic exhibit, you're fired. Got it in black and white. It wasn't just me; other people do. But so one day we said, "All right, that's cool." So we went to see what's going on. And I was blown away by people, young, old, rich, poor, families, individuals, that this was to people their chance to have an experience, legitimate experience with Titanic. It wasn't looking over Ballard's shoulder or Jim Cameron's or whatever. It was one-on-one them with Titanic. And I thought, wow. And so I get the artifacts because that's it's not a bad thing, but that's as close as many people are going to ever get, and close as many people want to get. So, and again, knowing what goes on behind, never once have I sat in a meeting where they said, "Aha, we're going to go back." We know where there's gold, we know where there's jewels, we know where there's safes that are, but, and never before have I heard anyone in a meeting say, "Let's go pick that up. Look at how much gold or jewels or whatever." Never once. And at Woods Hole, there's the point at Woods Hole was, I remember the National Geographic documentary. Dr. Ballard, after he found it, decided that it was the Museum of the Deep and nothing should be disturbed. The very next frame is him he's in the sub going, "Oh, look, a safe."
Yep. And they're not even being ginger about it. They're yanking on it, and then it's like, and then they find out that the whole bottom of it's rotted out and gone.
What is wrong with this thing?
It was in one of the books. I remember the story.
I remember that.
Yeah, they kept turning the handle like multiple times, trying to open it and tugging it and all that.
And then the famous one where they had the safe opening on board the Geraldo Rivera.
That was
with the vault.
Oh, great! Now I got tea on my.
Oh no!
It's
ruined. Now you got to send them to us.
That's right. See those lines?
The point.
No, you disappear every time you hold it up.
Yeah, the point I make every time I encounter an anti-salvager is I'm like, so are you against salvage from the Empress of Ireland? Are you against salvage from the Lusitania, the Andrea Doria? These are shipwrecks where people died too.
What's
in some cases, horrible numbers
and stuff
so,
like that.
Titanic was the only ship that ever sank.
Yeah, it's if you're against that, you got to be passionate about all.
Holocaust exhibitions with stuff from the concentration camps.
Right. And
what are you showing us, Dave?
Egyptian.
Well, you mentioned Bob Ballard.
I was always bothered the way Pigeon Forge and Branson museums have a Holocaust exhibit towards the end. It always felt like it was just padding, like it was just a cheap shot to like they ran out of Titanic related stuff to display in the last few pavilions, so they threw in the
Holocaust and the Titanic.
So
but the way they went about it is kind of a stretch. Isidore Strauss's brothers, cousins, dog walkers, nieces, granddaughters, boyfriends, cousins, grandmothers, babysitter knew Otto Frank.
Isidore Strauss's nephew knew Otto Frank and tried to get the Frank family out, but was not successful in doing so.
But still, it's a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch to tie it in. As I said before, I think Capricorn is a great way to tie it together, but people don't want to. For some reason, people don't.
I want to take a moment and welcome Steve Hall.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
What happened to Dave?
Man.
I don't know. We lost him. Hopefully he'll be back.
Dave was just trying to show us something. I was hoping to see that.
I mentioned Steve Hall earlier when I was recommending one of the books that
I love that book.
Valentine might be interested in. So, welcome, Steve. How are you doing, my friend? In Australia, where it's already tomorrow afternoon.
He's calling us from the future.
Can you hear me? Can you?
Yes.
There we go.
I was waiting for the talk to start, and there was nothing here. It was 2 o'clock here, and I went upstairs and listened to Art Bell for 2 hours, an old episode. And then I come back down again. And I thought, well, you guys would be finished by now, but no, you're still going.
No, once we get started, I was having some technical difficulties. Nothing was working the way it was supposed to, Steve.
No. Oh, it's all right.
I still had to get started in a really weird way. I don't know why.
Okay. It's good. It's the first one for the year, is it?
It's the first one for February. We were live. How many times in January, Dan? Like twice?
Oh, that's right.
I think we got twice, too, I believe.
Yeah, and so this is our first one for February.
I think it's one. Yeah, I think we did. We just do one.
I don't know. January seemed to like go on forever.
I think.
Huh?
Last one that I was on, I think, because the last one we did.
It was in January.
We showed our Christmas presents because that was the first one of the year.
But yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know why it didn't work though, but I'm sorry it took us so long to get started. We were planning on getting started, like when I told you, Steve, but
that's fine.
It just didn't work.
It wasn't my fault, I swear.
Weren't you just talking to David Geller?
Yeah, he disappeared. I don't know what happened.
Somebody else. Bob, is it Bob Custer? Is it
Bob? Like, I don't know what happened to him.
I'm here.
He's disappeared too.
Hang on.
I messaged Dave. I said we lost you.
We had a picture of something he was holding up.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, there you are. But anyway, so how are things there in Australia, Steve? You doing good?
Yeah, it's just very hot. We're just about sick of it here because it's just been so hot now for 4 weeks and you don't get any sleep. And yeah, it's just been too hot. So, I mean, the older you get, the more you feel the heat. And it's been hard for us to sort of even sleep for night time. So that's why I'm a bit tired too now. And I just had a cup of coffee, but I decided to have a glass of scotch too, actually. Wouldn't mind having a cigarette, but I gave them up, but it doesn't matter. So, but no, everything's going okay. I'm pretty good. No news on Titanic or anything at the moment on anything. It's I don't know what Bruce is doing. I don't really know what anyone's doing. Really, they all seem to disappear.
I emailed Bruce not too long ago. He said we could have him on the show. I need to schedule something to have Bruce on sometime. We miss him.
Yeah. I haven't spoken to Bruce. I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks. I spoke to him at Christmas, and that's it. I send off messages to people, and I think that sometimes they don't get back to you because they're just not active on Facebook or anything. I know that. I'm just on the screen here. It's just asking. I'll confirm what language I'm speaking. Hang on. Save English. I think I'm English.
Definitely French.
We switched it over. We switched it over to German.
No.
So that Thorsten could see German.
Deutsch ist kein Problem.
Thorsten speaks German, so we switched it to German captions so he could understand all of us.
Oh, guten Tag to everyone. Wunderbar. But no, I haven't heard from Bruce. I'll send him an email. I know George B hasn't been well. I heard from Paul Lee a couple of days ago because I've been reading his new books. So he's going okay, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of people don't seem to be that active, I think, better off coming to Titanic Reflections, perhaps, Joe.
Huh?
They're better off coming to Titanic
I
Reflections.
know they should come to my page and hang out. We're just a bunch
That's right. You got all the good ones.
of friends hanging out. I know if they're not active, they're probably like me. I've just been so busy. Just busy.
I've been busy. You you can be busy and do nothing. I think it was John Lennon said, life happens when you're doing other things. And the other thing he said was just watching the wheels go around. But it's been hard because it's so hot outside. Me and Rusty can't even go for a walk. So and I'm sitting in here now, and the air conditioning's going, and the ceiling fan's going, and the sweat's running down my back. So,
oh my goodness!
But again, you said it's been nice and cold over there. So
it has been cold in Virginia. This week is going to be warmer. Today was warm enough to where I could go out without a coat on.
We're in the middle of a blizzard.
I wore sandals and I got a pedicure. And then next weekend they're calling for snow.
Yeah.
Suckers. I've had enough snow.
I know. It's Virginia weather. And Virginia can be cold enough to, like, it would be warm during the day and then snow at night. We can get all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, well, I've never seen snow in my life.
Come to Virginia.
So I'm 64 and I've never seen snow.
But snow is in some places here.
It didn't snow when I was in New York in winter and it didn't snow. I just seem to be missing out on it. So it'd be nice to see that. Wish it snow here anyway. So all these David Gallo's gone then.
He said his computer just started to upgrade, like is upgrading its operating system.
So he's got Windows 10 or Windows 11 or something.
He said, what in the world? It just started upgrading all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's a button to turn it off. I'm still using Windows 8, so
I don't know.
Can I show you?
I still use XP.
All right, Britt, what do you have, honey?
I got to show you my new book that I got last time.
You got a new book? Okay.
Yeah. What? Last week I think.
Yeah, those were nice.
Yeah. The bookseller at our East bookstore, he was like, I didn't even know it was there, and he's like, I don't think we have anything in today, and I was like, okay. I always check every time I go to the bookstore. I always check if they have anything, and a lot of times they don't. And I went in there and I was like, oh, look, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get this. Actually, it was like almost $14, and I got it for like $3.
Oh, cool.
I've
gotten those before at Walmart. I haven't seen like a new one for a long time.
I think the last one was that one
few months.
RMST did.
Yeah, that one's nice, and I haven't seen any more from RMST either. I was hoping they would make it like a regular thing, but
they always do that one with the painting on the cover, like every few months. Like
I haven't seen one recently.
National Geographic likes to reissue their Titanic one from 2012.
Yeah,
I think
every
Time
6
Magazine
months.
does it too.
And you know what? I get it every single time, thinking maybe something will be different.
Here's my latest book.
And that's why they keep reissuing it.
Pirate Hunters. Oh, that looks interesting.
So this is by the same guy who also wrote Shadow Divers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
Robert Curson.
There we go.
So let me tell you how I got this book today.
Okay.
My buddy had a load of stuff to take to the dump in the back of his truck. So I said, all right, I'll ride along. I didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
So we just got done throwing everything. They got like 16 different dumpsters there, so they separate everything,
Mm-hmm.
And I happen to glance over and I see this box of books. So something tells me I should go look in this box. So I go look in this box, and here's this book sitting there. And somebody threw it out, and it was getting ready to go in the dumpster. And I said, "Oh, I'll take that." And took it. And
gotta check. That's the rule.
What's that?
Always gotta check. That's the rule.
Always, man.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I went through all the books. But I have that book on audiobooks as well. And it's a very good book. But his book Shadow Divers, if you've ever read that is an amazing book.
Yep, I have it.
I do too. I have a used copy. And the weird thing is mine had a sticky note in it. and it was thanking for someone for letting them borrow it. And it's signed B. Ballard or Bob B. or something like that. But I think it's Bob Ballard's signature because I compared it to like his writing and his signature
Oh,
and
I
just the way
remember when you got that.
it's really weird.
Yeah,
But
I remember that.
remember that? Isn't that weird? I kept it in there just in case. I don't know.
Didn't it say Merry Christmas too, or was that a different book?
No, I have another book that's signed by Bob Ballard. It's written Merry Christmas, Bob Ballard. I don't know. I think but he signed like all of those.
Ballard who?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's about,
Uh-huh.
that's about right too.
Ballard, who is he? Is he a passenger?
Yeah, it's his passenger. Uh-huh.
Somebody said he found the Titanic, did he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
claims to have found the Titanic.
Yeah.
You know whose signature I'd really like to have is Jean Louis Michel.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good one.
I have a book signed by George Tulloch.
Oh,
Oh,
now I'm
cool.
jealous.
Nice.
Okay, I'm really, really jealous.
I met him at an expedition here at Hamburg in 1998, and Klaas-Joran Wetterholm was there as historian. I talked to Klaas and asked Klaas to sign the book, and he said, "Yeah, no problem, sign the book." And said, "Wait, George, come here, sign the book." That's how I learned to meet George Tulloch.
That's very awesome.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
My copy of Futility is signed by Morgan Robertson.
I have a signature from Morgan Robertson too.
He is not a good author. Like, let's be honest. If that book didn't like, well, I won't say predict, but didn't have that coinciding with Titanic, I don't think people would remember him.
Didn't Morgan Robertson die while looking at himself in a mirror? Or something like that.
He was his own biggest fan.
Yeah, one hit wonder.
Allegedly, he had another short story where he predicted Pearl Harbor.
What?
Yeah, it was like about an island owned by America that gets bombed by Japanese Empire.
Do you know how many people I have to tell all the time when they bring up the wreck of the Titan or Futility?
It wasn't even called that until 1912.
Right.
They're like, did you know
Like, it
there's a
wasn't even
book-
called the wreck of the Titan until after Titanic sank, and it was heavily, heavily edited to make it seem like he predicted it.
Oh,
And
that's not.
You think him editing it would make it a better book, but honestly, I read the book and it
It's
just
terrible.
wasn't that good.
There was a polar
couldn't get through
bear
the
on
third or
the
fourth chapter.
iceberg.
No, you can't follow
Yeah,
it.
after the Titan sinks, you lose all interest because it becomes like a tour grid Victorian melodrama, which is what it is.
I got to
I
the chapter
remember
where they
in
were
Russia.
painting the ship.
I
I was like,
remember in Russia, someone told me their own weird conspiracy theory, how the reason the book was written is because some guy knew that they were gonna sink the Titanic, and the woman he loved was gonna sail aboard the Titanic. I remember this is all happening in the span of like 1898 to 1912. So the woman he loved was gonna sail on the Titanic. So he was trying to warn her, but she wouldn't believe him. So what he did was he told his friend Morgan Robertson to write a book about a ship similar to Titanic sinking. So she would read that book and see his warning and not go.
That
And
makes
I
sense.
just stood there staring at that woman for like an hour.
We lost
On
Steve.
It really fits.
Eventually, she asked me to stop staring, and you know what? I did not because I wanted to make her as uncomfortable as she made me.
On that note, I think I recently read, and I don't know if this is true or not, that A Night to Remember had recently come out in book form prior to the Andrea Doria's final voyage, and some of the passengers actually had copies of it.
Yeah.
It was like an international bestseller. It made sense someone would have it.
That's weird. Okay, so the closest I have to a George Tulloch signature, I ordered a piece of Titanic coal in the 90s. And my certificate of authenticity has an electronic signature of George Tulloch and P.H. Nargeolet. That's the closest I'm ever going to get, probably, but I treasure that. And I was going to have PH sign my certificate of authenticity at Titanicon last year, but ended up being a memorial instead of a meet and greet.
I was really looking forward to meeting him at
Oh my
Titanicon.
gosh.
I didn't know
probably
him
would have
as
had him sign my jacket.
I
I
didn't
just
know him
wanted to
as
shake
well
his
as
hand
you
and meet him.
guys, but I knew of him and I thought it'd be cool to meet him. But
he was like my hero from the time I was just a little girl to it was like him and Don Lynch and Ken Marshall. I used to like Ballard.
When I was writing the post, sort of the memorial post to P.H. Nargeolet after the Titan disaster, I listed all of the documentaries I could find from his IMDb and other stuff that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was at least 15, if not more, documentaries about Titanic dating back to the 90s, probably possibly the 80s as well. Basically, I grew up with the man on my television screen.
Yeah,
me too.
Same.
Him and Don Lynch. I mean, just and Ken Marshall. I mean, I just felt like I grew up like learning from these men and just, oh, and that documentary with George Behe too, where he starts crying.
Oh, don't skip me.
I can watch that without like getting all choked up.
dream.
I mean, these are
When
my
the-
heroes,
When the guy gives the life belt up and
and so I just could not wait to meet PH and George Tulloch too. Like any documentary, anything that had George Tulloch in it, I was like on that, because this was the man who was like bringing up history, and I wanted to see this stuff eventually, and
And Ralph White as well.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Ralph White.
Yep.
Yep.
And I just
and G. Michael Harrod. No, I'm joking.
Pick him out of the group right now.
Yeah. Dan.
Who?
Or the guy who defied Lady Dove Gordon's kimono, who shall be left unnamed.
And even,
He
and
was
he's
never in a
he's not
documentary.
here, so I can like brag on a little bit. I used to see
His bio says he was, but his bio also says he's a graduate from some college, which he isn't.
I used to see Dave in documentaries too. And I still go back and I see him, Dave Gallo. And I used to see him in documentaries and stuff. And he was one of my heroes when I was little. Don't tell him that because he still thinks he's young. But so
I do like how she like hesitated there when she said hero. Like she was initially going somewhere else with that.
Not all heroes wear capes.
that is true. That is really true. But I learned so much from these people throughout my lifetime. And I was so devastated by what happened to PH. Just absolutely devastated. And I made that post when I met Don Lynch, that said they say not to meet your heroes. But I met Don Lynch and I am not the least bit disappointed.
No, not at all.
Least.
I still can't believe I bought him shots. I can die right now and it's gonna be worth it.
I'm still mad at Joe because
I was
she
also
knew.
not
Because she
disappointed
knew.
at all when I met Ken Marshall. He was just an absolute gentleman, such a nice guy.
Well,
Maybe I should buy him shots.
I'm a little bit jealous, but we'll just leave it there.
Hey, we might have our moment to meet Ken.
Hopefully.
Do you think there's a chance he can make it to one of the conventions?
That'd be nice. What is Joe laughing at still? I feel like I'm being judged for eating Oreo cookies.
Las Vegas was
We're a
such
little
good
jealous of the
time.
Oreo cookie. I would like an Oreo cookie. We don't have any Oreo.
Here you go.
It was a granola bar. Although I had a delicious cheese Danish from Starbucks before I got started here.
Those are so
That's
freaking
not
good.
even that's so far away from a granola bar. That's not even funny.
You
Granola
know what
bar?
else is good?
Cheese Danish.
You went from a granola bar to a cheese Danish.
Oh my god.
You know what
The
else
ones from
Starbucks has that
Starbucks
is
are
so
just
good?
like a whole nother level.
Every year,
But
I have to get them. It's those freaking snowman cookies.
They are good. I got one this
They are
past
so
year.
freaking good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by the way, did you know that the Carpathia after the Titanic rescue operation was so popular that I know at least 2 photographers traveled over the fun fairs, and you can stand for an set they made, and you can photograph yourself on the Carpathia.
Huh.
Mm.
Oh, where's
But
this?
was
The, the,
but
the,
was Carpathia?
let me bring it to the end. You stand there, you get your photo, and you get one. Everyone get only one photo as postcard. I know from 5 or 6 people who owns 1 or 2 of these postcards.
Hmm.
I have in the meantime 25.
But was Carpathia also Titanic's sister ship like the Capricorn?
Stop it.
I will never let that
No, the
go. Ever,
Carpathia was the
never, ever,
Cunard.
ever.
Yeah,
I know.
No.
I'm being sarcastic
Stop it.
over something
Oh,
else.
yeah. You
We all know that.
you and the Capricorn.
You are silly.
Good
He's a
story.
troublemaker.
Good story. The Capricorn was the ship in the 1943 German movie. We
Right.
know.
Not the interiors.
she-
Not people
uh,
always say that.
She
Not the interiors.
she lay at that time at Gotenhafen as a ship where U-boat crew was trained.
It was a barracks.
Next to her lay the Wilhelm Gustloff. And
right. Oh,
and for the movie, they ordered people from the Wilhelm Gustloff to jump from deck of the Capacona into the water to
Holy
filming
cow.
them from the movie for the movie.
Yeah, I knew that. Some of the extras were from the nearby Wilhelm Gustloff.
Yeah, that's a story Heinz Schön told me many years ago. He was further on the Wilhelm Gustloff. And he told me that before he died, that they ordered the people from the Gustloff to jump into the water for the movie.
Were they ordered or did they pay them? Or both? I need to look at that book that I have. No,
They were
but yeah,
voluntold.
They always get 5 Reichsmark, also German marks at that time, for the jump.
I wonder
So-
how much that would be in today's money. Probably not a lot.
No idea, but not so much.
Really cool.
Hey, they were in the middle of a war. Right? They probably would have
Yeah,
done
I
it
know.
for a
Yeah.
Hutch Schnitzel or whatever.
Yeah, but the Wilhelm Gustav story is also very, very interesting, by the way. All who let me sort that. All who don't know the story of the Wilhelm Gustav, look on for him on the internet because it's the greatest ship tragedy ever, with over 10,000 people
Awful.
died.
awful. Yeah, awful. I don't care if they
I
were
mean, in
German.
context of the war.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Here in Germany, the Gustav is very popular, and items from the Gustav, the people went crazy. A menu card on eBay you can find from 120 euros is the normal price, and I know several people who have 10, 20 Gustav menus. I have over 50. But
To be fair, the menus on German ships were amazing. And wasn't
Really?
Gustloff, I know it was Strength Through Joy who owned it, but it was operated by Hamburg Sud, like Capricorn.
yeah,
So they would have had a lot of the same menu items.
yeah. The Gustloff was managed by the Hamburg South, Hamburg
I
Süd,
think I have
and the Robert Leiser sister ship was managed by the Hapag.
but it wasn't technically it was close, but it wasn't an exact sister ship. What was it called? The Roberts.
Robert Ley.
Yeah, Capricorn had that enclosed promenade at the bow that a lot of
Yeah,
the Blockham and Voss ship had, but the other one didn't. It was built at another shipyard.
yeah, they were totally different, but always called sister ships. Why ever?
Because they looked vaguely the same. Vaguely, they looked similar and they had the same livery, so it's easy to confuse them. I did that too.
Yeah, confuse them. There are other ships where I'm more confused, like the Bremen or Europa from the 1930s. They are hard to.
No, not that hard. The windows are always a giveaway in the front.
In the
Bremen had
front.
two rows,
Yeah,
and
two and Europa 4 rows.
I used to be confused with America and Kaiserin August Victoria until it hit me. Kaiserin August Victoria has an extra deck on it has a bulkier superstructure. It has an extra deck.
By the way, the Kaiser class, John Jacob Astor was a great fan of the Kaiser class. He traveled on all 4 Kaiser class ships.
Well, he should have stayed with the Kaiser class.
I have one passenger list from the Kronprinz Wilhelm, where John Jacob Astor travels on. First sight on the passenger list, I see John Jacob Astor. A friend showed me that. And I need 10 years. But in the meantime, the passenger list is in my collection.
I kind of, not Hapag, it was Norddeutscher Lloyd. They should have
German Lloyd.
North German Lloyd. They should have, the name should have had more variety because it got really confusing. Kaiser Wilhelm del Grosse.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I gotta take off, everybody. It was great chatting with you all.
Bye,
Bye.
Terry. We'll see you
Bye,
later.
Terry.
Take care.
Bye, Terry.
So that was
Bye.
so Kaiser Wilhelm del Grosse, Kronprinz Wilhelm, Kaiser Wilhelm II. That just makes it really confusing. And then Crown Princess and Cecily.
You forget the Crown Princess and Cecilia.
I did, but it's it's the only one with a name that's a little bit different. The other three, it gets really confusing.
Yeah.
Wilhelm this, Wilhelm that.
Yeah, that was our Kaiser or Imperator.
Oh, yeah, Imperator was supposed to be called Europa, I think, at first, but then Albert Ballin was buttering up the Kaiser.
Yeah, exact. Albert Ballin was a great friend from the Kaiser. The Kaiser visited him times at home.
I mean, Kaiser was a major anti-Semite, and the fact that he embraced a Jewish man like that spoke a lot about Albert Ballin's character.
By the way, I don't know if you can see it.
I can sort of see it. Imperator.
That's very nice because I like somewhere inside.
Ooh.
And there are many of this
How do I
nice
leave?
things.
Is that like an advertising brochure?
Yeah. And
nice.
Big one and very nice and very rare.
I have one for Capricorn.
Yeah, I have several for Capricorn. You will not see what I have from the Capricorn all. It's nearly a folder full of items.
Well, if you need to liquidate some assets, you know who to contact.
The problem is I sell only items I have double. All others stay here.
I'm not even doing that. I'm just hoarding. Although I am donating some of my redundant White Star Line like postcards and stuff. I'm donating them to the Molly Brown House. I also have some redundant lobby cards from the 43 Titanic that I'm also going to be giving to them.
Yeah.
Very sweet, Ev.
Yeah. It's because I'm such a good person.
My collection grow up and grow up. I count last time I count my Olympic cards. I came to over 120 different Olympic postcards.
Wow.
Thorsten,
nice.
do you have any photos of Capricornus second class and third class? I've been trying to find them for years.
No, but I have a photo album from the board orchestra of the Capricorn with photos from the cabin crew where the orchestra was stored.
That's it. Because
You,
I've been trying
you,
to find. Because
you,
I've been
you,
reading.
you should have a look to my website, lostliners.de. There you can
Mhm.
find an article about the Cap Arcona, and you can find the photos from the board orchestra.
Okay. It's just because I'm really interested in finding third because I've been reading so many horror stories about how terrible compared to how lavish the first class was, how terrible third class. It was just dormitories,
No,
which was completely out of date for 1927.
not really. Also, second class was it was in principle like on the Titanic.
I
It
assume the
was
second class probably looked similar to the Monte ships.
no, a little bit better.
But like the cabin class, like because Monte ships were just like second class ships all around. There was no first class.
Yeah, the Monte ships in the war were also KDF ships like the Gustav or the Robert Lai, and then there were only one class because in the war
Oh,
they say like on the Gustav or the Robert Lai they must have all the same for the crew, for the passengers, all the same. That was World War II in Germany. All must be the same.
Yep.
sorry, we just completely went off into outer space with the. Let's go back to Titanic. Are you ready to
So
go
real
back to
quick,
the Titanic?
before we get so real quick, I was watching a documentary tonight, and I want to get everybody's opinion on this. I already formed mine, but I watched this documentary, and it was called Titanic: The Lost Signal. Anybody heard of that?
Yep.
Noble probably has, but he's gone. You have, Thorson?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, is it a
So
documentary or a short film by that Tom Linsky dude?
no, it's a documentary,
Because he
and
also has one called Lost Signals.
the
Lost
lost
Signals.
signal. Yes. So apparently there was this guy in Wales who built his own wireless radio, and his name was Arthur Moore. And the story goes that he heard Titanic's distress signal.
I think not.
That was my first thing. So
No,
I'm like,
I did hear. I'm not saying it's true, but I did hear that somewhere
yeah.
before this.
Here's my problem with all of this. For one, Titanic's wireless set wasn't that strong. It was one of the strongest in the world, but it was only good for up to 1,000 miles. That 1,000 miles was only at night. During the day, they were only getting like 400, 500 miles out of that set. And Wales, which is where this guy lived, is 3,000 miles from where the Titanic sank, for one. Two, they're in a valley. So they're surrounded by mountains. There's no way that signal got to that guy's little homemade amateur wireless set.
Well, he's just speaking his truth.
But there's a whole museum set up in this guy's house.
Oh, gee.
This. Thorson knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, but
Hey,
I
look,
watched that tonight, and I was like, I've never heard of it.
They need their tourist money. Let them be.
Yeah, but I'd never heard of it. So I'm like, I gotta watch this, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, there's no way. There ain't no way. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm gonna tell you, there's no way.
Well, there's on a similar note, there's also a certain Russian Titanic historian that should be left unnamed because of those horrible things he's been saying about Anton.
Yep.
He has a claim that I'm Russian. I'm proud of being Russian, so but I find it a completely hokey story that he talks about. He claims that an Imperial Russian naval architect was visiting Harland and Wolff like in 1910 or 1911 when they were building Olympic and Titanic, and he chastised them for having really low for the watertight bulkheads. He said they were too low for a ship of that size, and they might run into trouble because of that. And he's literally the only source I heard that from, and it just sounds so like Putin era Russian nationalism of like fanfic inserting yourself into something. Oh yeah, the cool Russian naval architect knew the Titanic's bulkheads were too low even before it sank.
That
It's
theory really flounders.
But
sorry, what?
but to have some fun, Alexander Carlyle was on the maiden voyage of the Vaterland. The
Deutschland?
Imperator's sister.
The Vaterland.
The
No,
Fatherland.
no. Oh wait, Fatherland or the Deutschland?
No, the Fatherland.
Oh, the Emperor, the second Emperor. Well, it wasn't really
Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Let's not get into that.
The sister ship of the Imperator.
Would they
Well,
qualify as sister ships because she was so much different? The bridge was different. The
yeah,
split optics, the
they,
layout.
they were complete different because they were built on different wharfs.
And Imperator was a hot mess. Somebody said that it was a first-class hotel and a third-rate ship.
Yeah, Imperator was a great ship. Friends of mine now owns chairs from the Bismarck, the later Majestic. Was very funny. They buy them as chairs from the Majestic, but then I come and say they are different because they were the Majestic was built here at Hamburg, and the Hapag said, regardless, this ship is ours. We must give it to the White Star Line, but they will sail from Hamburg as Bismarck. So they traveled down the half of the River Elbe as Bismarck, and then was renamed in Majestic.
But they kept that Germanic scroll work that isn't really on any British ships. What I don't what my question is, all of the fittings, like chairs, artwork, tables, was that put in Hamburg or in the UK after they requisitioned it?
All Hamburg.
Wow, that's actually so interesting because I mean I think Berengaria ex-Imperator they put in I think since it was rebuilt in the UK, they put in some the furniture and stuff was British.
No, the most is all from Germany. All here from Blom and Voss.
Except Imperator, because that was Vulcan.
Yeah, that was Vulcan.
So they put her on the Berengaria, locked up in her cabin like a wild animal. Sorry, every time we talk about Imperator, I keep that Tennessee Williams play. Suddenly last summer.
I had several years ago, I met Kalman Tanito here at Hamburg. He was on a cruise which was here at Hamburg, and we met, and he told me, "Oh, have you some points I can look?" I say, "Yes." There where your ship lays, you look to the left, and you see the remains of the Vulcan Wharf. You look to the right, you see the Blumenfoss Wharf, and there you can have from the ship history. Oh, okay.
Well, didn't Hapag Hamburg America, they sued Vulcan for screwing up the Imperator? That's what I read.
I don't know.
Because they were really unhappy. It was top heavy. It was it kept listing.
Yeah, that's so the problem.
Again, you put so much marble on the ship. Of course, it was going to start tipping.
Yeah, the problem at that time was when the Imperator should be built, the Blom and Voss had not enough space to make such a great ship. So that's why Vulcan gets the order for this ship, and then later Blom and Voss had enough space, so she could build the Fatherland and the Bismarck.
I just found it fascinating that Imperator did not have split uptakes, but they were so creative. You'd never tell. It's so spacious.
Yeah.
Split uptakes means if anyone doesn't know, split uptakes is when the funnel doesn't go like straight down like on Titanic into the boiler rooms. It splits around the superstructure and goes around the sides and then back into the engine room, the boiler room. So that means you can have these long, uninterrupted vistas inside the ship, kind of like on the Normandy. Normandy has split optics, which is why it was so cavernous.
Ah.
Okay,
Yeah,
guys. It is after 1 o'clock in the morning, my time.
Oh, we have a
Sibylla Schmitz has just woken up. She was passed out.
Sibylla Smith says it's probably time to go to sleep. Look at her, she's so tired. Look at her little face.
Well, she is tired. She spent the whole day pooping.
Me
This
too.
has been incredibly fun. I don't
I
know
bet you that's how the real Sibylla Schmitz looked like after all the morphine, with her tongue sticking out.
Anyway,
I'm gonna burn in hell for this. Amongst other things.
Once again, I feel the need to mention that the opinions of Ev Mladic are not necessarily those of RMS Titanic Reflections.
That's like your life motto at this point.
Joe, if we ever make 401 shirts, we'll have to put that on the back, like print it on there.
Yeah, that's like
Can you have like a picture of me there going like this?
It has been an interesting evening. I don't want to end things on a negative note. You know,
and also, I want to say one thing though. The guy that we were dissing the entire evening, he does have a Facebook, but let's not go out of our way to harass him because it just makes him look like play the victim.
I mean, ABC did their thing, you know, with their special, and yeah, and that's their prerogative to do, you know. Whether you
I already sent him a flounder gift. He's good.
It made me want to watch the Britannic TV movie, so that tells you.
It really, because it made me want to watch Little Mermaid.
Steve, are you gonna try to watch it? Do you know it?
Yeah, I saw the link.
I sent you the preview to it. I couldn't find the full version. You have to have to watch the full version.
I can find it. I'll find it. I'll just use a VPN or something.
It's one of those things that when you have to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I don't really watch television documentaries. I think I've only ever watched one in completion.
But it's kind of we're at a point where it's like define documentary, because that really wasn't a documentary. I don't know what that was. Titanic exploitation.
The highlights were the highlights
I always find the documentaries about the Titanic. And my attitude is, look, guys, sank. It's gone.
Spoiler alert, gone.
It's gone. It's just gone. So I like to remember it when it was still afloat. That's how I want to remember it. I haven't gone anywhere near a book which talks anything about it on the bottom of the Atlantic, because it's gone. It's just a pile of junk down the bottom. That's all it is. I'm sorry. That's all it is. And the Atlantic's full of wrecks. The Atlantic's full of B-17 bombers and Lancasters too, and battleships from all sides around the world. So, and
the Amelia Earhart. Well, no, that's specific.
Well, that's a good point, Ed, because I did see that the fellow reckons he might have found it. It'd be interesting if he has. I'm not sure about that sonar thing. Does look like a Lockheed Electra, doesn't it? But the wings look swept back. But who knows? I mean, it could be it. Be interesting, because if you find out, you know, what happened to the plane, would be nice. Because we know where the Loch Ness monster is. It doesn't exist.
Oh, it doesn't.
No. I don't know about Bigfoot. I mean, there might be a case for that one.
You're destroying my life right now.
No. I'll tell you why I don't. I think UFOs, the Rendlesham Forest, I don't mind that one. Roswell, I wouldn't give you two bob for it.
Anastasia surviving.
Yeah.
That cartoon wasn't accurate?
They found her
body.
Would y'all
Oh,
stop?
I know. In 2007, they're all accounted for.
They are.
To be fair, when the cartoon was made, they were not all accounted for. Yeah, oh well.
But
Anyway,
there were some positive points, you know, in the ABC special. Jessica Sanders did a great job. David Kincan did a great job. Sydney Narsley did a great job. You know, and that's what is important, you know, remembering and honoring those who were lost on the Titan during the Titan tragedy.
It's a good thing, Joe, to remember.
yeah, it was though. It was. Oh, sorry, go
I
ahead.
struggle, but I struggle since the loss of the Titan. I struggle to think. I get a funny feeling the popularity of Titanic might have gone with the Titan, but interest in Titanic and the wreck might have taken a dip after that. And I think it took a bit of a dip too when they started asking for $250,000 to go down on it.
Why was it so much? Other tourist ventures only asked for like 50 or 60,000. Why did they do 250?
Probably because I could get 250. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, the thing is, if I said
they kind of priced themselves out of the market.
I think so too, Ev. And although that it'd be interesting to see it, and I've not back going for free because I'm not getting in that silly little sub. Not the one that imploded, but the the big one, Nortel or the Mears, whatever. I just don't think I'd like doing that. And if it came to paying for it, which in the case was, what'd you say, F, 250,000? I'd rather give 250,000 to the Royal Children's Hospital in Sydney than go for a dive down and see a wreck on the bottom of the Atlantic and risk my life. Perhaps
and not very well. Like there was a small porthole and a video feed. So you could barely.
Good luck if you go. Good luck if you go down, and I think that's fantastic. I'm not envious or jealous of anyone, but I just really think that myself personally, I could spend the coin somewhere else. And enjoy it somewhere else. Buy a nice car for that.
I think they tried to make it positive, but again, I think they didn't vet some of the or one or more of the experts on the program. They used a lot of their own experts. They recycled a lot of material. Huh?
No, they use you saw a lot of ABC correspondent for transportation. Yeah. ABC.
Yeah. It could have been better. It could have been worse, so I mean, watch at your own discretion. Maybe when the cases are closed and we have more answers, we can revisit this topic,
I think so too.
The answers. Maybe.
I still think even today, if you want a Titanic, just build another one.
Right.
Now there are people
that's a whole.
There's people in this world that have got tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions. For 800 million, you could make another one. Just park it out the front of your waterfront house.
There you go. And then pay Steve Hall to help you build it. There you go. Ask him about it.
I'll give you a quote if you want. I've had 2 goes at building one, so
there you go.
I want the full experience. I don't want private bathrooms. I want a freaking chamber pod. I want poor ventilation, low ceilings, and I want to pay extra to use the freaking swimming pool.
Okay,
and that's just for first class.
Okay, I would want a working bathroom with a shower.
No, you can have a working bathroom with a shower, but it's going to be shared. And to go to the shower, you have to make an appointment 2 days in advance.
I want my own private bathroom. Okay, Did you see my special with Bruce Beveridge where they did the mock-up for the Romandicia Romandicy
Romandicy.
the Romandicy Titanic where they did modify, the suites to have bathrooms. That's what I want with the
Well,
private
they done that with Titanic 2.
Why did they have to modify the suites to have private bathrooms? They did have private bathrooms.
Well, only some of them, but if you want to build another Titanic today, I mean, you've got to have more elevators, you've got to have ramps, more fireproofing. It's quite involved, really, to be honest.
Oh yeah, the wood paneling from the Edwardian
that's out.
ships would never fly.
No, that's not going to fly. And when we were going to do Titanic 2, I mean,
the
we're
Morro
in a
Castle
position where
ruined
we're
it for
going to
everybody.
fly through the gymnasium. So there was, but having said all of that, is that me and Bruce have been talking about a book in relation to what you were talking about, Joe.
By the way, Titanic's gymnasium came from Germany.
Yay, cool.
Yep.
You mean the exercise machines?
What?
Like the exercise machines came from Germany?
Well, yeah, I think they did.
America was the first ship, the Hamburg America line. I think America was the first one to have a gymnasium on board. Was it?
Yes. That's true.
And Deutschland was the first one to have an a la carte restaurant because they had not the Ritz, but they had the grill room. And then America was the first one to have an actual Ritz on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing great or spectacular about the Olympic class. It was just a bigger version of what they'd already been making. That's all.
If anything, I bet you like people were pissed that they had the generic knockoff of the Ritz restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it came down. If you wanted to build a boat and you were Bruce Esme, and by that time I think Bruce was spending somebody else's coin. Actually, I think they floated shares, I think, to pay for the Olympic class, I think so it wasn't the JP Morgan paid for it or IMM didn't pay for it. I think they rose it by making new shares. Whatever.
Oh yeah, it's a misconception that allegedly
so
JP Morgan gave them money.
So really, JP Morgan didn't pay for it, the Americans didn't pay for it. There's a lot of sort of whatever around, but when you look at the Olympic class, the next step was to make it bigger, and the more people could put in the boat, the more money could make. So,
What I found really fascinating though about the Olympic class design is that they didn't evolve their latest class. They didn't evolve the Big Four. They went back a generation earlier to the Oceanic, maybe because they realized that the Big Four looked freaking ugly.
Yeah, that's right. It's when you look at the Olympic class. I mean, as I said, it's just a larger version of what they had, apart from the center turbine. That was the most modern bit of kit they probably had on it. So
I was surprised that a lot of more ships than I thought had that layout, that same engine layout. For example, Hamburg Süd's Hamburg South, Capolonio had the same layout as Titanic. It had two reciprocating engines and a turbine in the middle, and a lot of warships had that too.
Well, the Bismarck and Tirpitz, weren't they? They had 3 props, didn't they have?
Well, 3 props, yeah, but also the center one was for turbine to use up the leftover steam from the reciprocating engines. Because for some reason you only think about Titanic and Olympic and maybe Britannic having that engine room set up, but it was more common than people might think.
Well, there you go. Look, I made all this conversation. Sorry, I came in late because I was asleep, and I missed out on David Gallo. So he must the
His
he's
laptop
probably
stole
gone
him
to
from
sleep
us.
by now.
I don't know. He keeps odd hours.
You want to tell him, Joe? Did he disappeared the same time I turned up?
I'm sure it was not intentional.
Of course it wasn't. I know that.
Have you ever seen Dave Gallo and Steve Hall in the same room together?
Yes, they've been on several times together. I mean,
Okay,
not in the same,
then
but on the same Zoom.
stop ruining my conspiracy theories.
Oh no. But anyway,
Anyways,
he will
before
be
I
back,
go,
I'm
Joe,
sure.
because dinner's almost ready. Before I go, I've got a book here for you.
Yay!
Yeah, all right.
That's
So
exciting.
it's Hold Down by Sir Bertram Haynes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, great book.
Thank you.
And I don't want it anymore,
Okay.
so I'll send it off to you.
Thank you.
So it's
What the? Why not me? I'm better than her.
yeah, but I mean, this one here has a
Hit you.
British ship and a British captain,
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
and I don't need it anymore. And I redesigned the bookcase, and I sort of sorted it all out, a few things anyway. So
By the way, Bertram Fox says, grab over the command of the Bismarck on the half day.
it was.
No, and
I
then it
think
was the
people
first.
might be getting really confused with the whole Bismarck thing. They might be think that a lot of people who are watching might be thinking we're talking about the battleship.
Well, we'll put this way: they might have switched the Tirpitz and the Bismarck. I mean, you go down a lot of rabbit holes, but I mean, of course, the liner, the Bismarck, of course, yeah. So
That became
I didn't know
majestic.
Bertram Haynes was on it actually.
Hmm.
He mustn't have thought much of it because he said in the end the Olympic was the best ship he'd ever served on.
No, I think he was. I think at the very least he came over to ferry it from Hamburg to Southampton.
Oh, so yeah, just brought it over.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he was ever captaining actual transatlantic voyages on it. But I think he was the one. He was the one who brought it to Southampton from Hamburg.
Yeah,
and
he also made Atlantic trips.
wasn't the out of spite they turned the captain's suite into like a storage closet.
Yeah.
The Blaham and Voss crew, like, I mean, that's the kind of petty I live for. I can understand why they were so mad. But yeah, like it was like the passive aggressive gotcha that the captain's cabin was basically a closet for spare like sinks or something.
Yeah, at this trip, yes. What was not ready, his cabin. By the way, many years ago, I was on Blum and Voss Wharf and visited them. They lay until today and played from the Bismarck. Very interesting when you can touch a real plate from the Bismarck and see how big it was. Really interesting.
Oh, last thing I will say about Cap Arcona though, and it relates to the Bismarck. I have please, I got this I bought this it's similar to like the Shipbuilder, but it's a German shipbuilding magazine from like 1927. And the issue was basically covering Cap Arcona, like, those shipbuilder editions for the Lusitania, for Olympic. And they had some advertisements in there for Blaham and Voss shipbuilding, like, because it's a trade industry trade paper. And even though it's 1927, British have long since confiscated and appropriated the Bismarck as the Majestic. But as a photo promoting their shipbuilding skills, it's a photo of the Bismarck being launched. So they were proud of that ship until the very end. Even after it was taken from them, they still considered it to be a pride of their shipbuilding skills. I thought that was very touching, actually, and kind of bittersweet. That it's not like that ship was taken from them under very sketchy, provisions. I'm not going to go into that, but Treaty of
I
Versailles was
agree.
kind of full of crap.
I agree.
But even in like 5 year, like not like 7 years after it was taken from them, they're still using pictures of the Bismarck to promote their shipbuilding because they know what a great ship it was and that
Yeah,
it's a great thing to advertise.
yeah. That's I have so much material from Blom and Voss where they have all their old ships on. Cap Arcona, the Imperator class, the Monte ships, the Balin class of the Hapag, all come from Blom and Voss.
I just love the Monte ships because they look so pretty. Like they look so perfectly balanced.
Yeah,
Like nothing extra, nothing, nothing weird, no
they
quirks,
look
just
good.
perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
They don't look like a stick in the water like the Olympic class with a couple of funnels on. Yes, Chris. Anyway, guys, Christine's just come in and said tea's ready. Now I don't know what time it is over there, Joe. Looks like Tony went to
Like
bed.
1:20 something in the morning.
It's
Yeah, well,
11:20. It's 11:23 in Molly Brown land.
Yeah, and it's 5:23 p.m. here, and the sun's going to go down in about an hour and a half. Which
Oh,
means
you gotta
it's
go.
gonna come
You
up
gotta
up where
go
you guys
lock
are.
down. You gotta go lock up before all the vampires come in.
No, I don't believe in vampires, Ev, I'm afraid.
It's half.
Stop it! You're like destroying all of my
Oh,
everything.
you want to look out the aliens come and grab you, mate.
I want to visit Australia. That'd be fun.
Well, if you come down here, they all sound like me.
Where are you in Australia?
And I like your honesty, and I don't have to put on an Australian accent because this is what I sound like. Okay.
Look, I learned everything I need to know about Australia from Return to Eden.
Oh, Jesus, that's a good song. Good grief, Return to freaking Eden. Have I heard that before?
It was popular in Russia. I watched it back to back with SOS Titanic, which should explain a lot of things about me.
Oh, I liked SOS Titanic. I thought it was the best one.
It's the best thing ever.
I think it is too. All the other ones, I don't like the other ones.
Helen Mirren just like randomly appearing in a Titanic movie. That's awesome.
And
fresh off Caligula.
And SS Titanic, I mean, the Carpathia gets a run too, doesn't it?
Oh, SOS Titanic has a lot of it's one of the things. It's the best representation of Carpathia.
Yeah,
even though Captain Rostron is played by Grady from The Shining.
What?
Sorry, Joe. We're just talking too much, But Ev, isn't it fantastic because it's in SS Titanic? The movie, you see the Carpathia. Isn't that when the radio operator comes down and
SOS Titanic? The original TV edit opens with Carpathia getting the distress signals, rescuing the passengers. Then it flashes back, but the theatrical version re-edits it into chronological order.
No,
it works better with it works better with the flashbacks.
You can turn around, take SS Titanic and flip it round and put it in chronological order.
That movie's technically on the loop if you watch it, because it always ends with Ismay having a meltdown on the deck, so it can just keep flashing back to Titanic. So you can just edit it to go indefinitely with Ismay constantly on the deck reminiscing about Titanic. It's his own personal hell.
He was probably having sugar problems already at that time anyway.
Oh yeah, she was diabetic. What's really interesting, there's a scene in SOS Titanic, there was a similar scene in James Cameron's Titanic that got deleted. It's in the deleted scenes gallery of Ismay having like a walk of shame with all of the female survivors, like giving him the death glare. And it's such a silly scene if you think about it. Like, how would they know who he is? How would they know that he survived, that he's the president of the chairman of the company? It's such a I know why they added for dramatic reasons, but overall, I just think it's such a hokey thing to do.
Yeah, you can be happy that Quentin Tarantino did not make a Titanic movie. That would be horrible.
It would just be Violet Jessup's feet for 3 hours. Or Madeline Astor's. I don't know. Somebody's.
Well, at one time, Alfred Hitchcock was supposed to make a Titanic movie.
Yeah, for David O. Selznick. He had
Yeah.
this joke. He couldn't think of a good script, so he said, "Let's just do like we're gonna zoom in on a rivet, and then gradually pull out further until you see the full ship, and that'll be the end." He was just trolling Selznick with the. But I think the idea was gonna be about a criminal falling in love on the ship and going straight, which was later reused in the '96 miniseries. But yeah, it was gonna be. I think it was gonna be another generic Titanic soap opera. I mean, by Hitchcock, so it would look gorgeous, like beautifully filmed. But it would be like another fake love story aboard Titanic, which of course has never been done ever.
You look like you're sinking there, Ev. You're going down.
Yeah, I know. You're
I'm
like
just
going
like
down.
I'm like sliding. I'm like sliding down my couch gradually.
So
you're gonna
before I
land on the
go-
poor dog.
here we
Just
go.
fine.
Look,
Poor
before
dog, there
before
she
I
is.
before I go, all right. Where did the last rivet in the Titanic go?
Poop
Where
deck.
did the last rivet in Titanic go when they were building it?
Interesting.
Is it a trick question?
Yeah, it is. You
Where?
wanna know?
Yes.
In the last rivet hole.
I was gonna say that, but I thought y'all
Oh.
were gonna laugh at me, so I was like, I'm just gonna be quiet.
All right, guys. Look,
Where was the last rivet hole?
In the
where
Titanic.
was the last rivet hole? Would have been there probably frame 32, about 47, 48 feet up from the keel, just behind the third funnel. How's that, Ev?
Okay, let's just go there. Let's just
I think you
If you
just
believe-
made that up.
If you believe that, you believe anything, right?
By,
No, I'm
But I do.
by
Guys,
the
I'm going for dinner.
by the way, I
Come
have
on, Steve.
I have a little thing for Evgeny. You all remind